everyone, and welcome to this maths video where I'll begin to unpick a few key strategies in the school's multiplication policy. So we're going to be looking at key strategies used by the children in both Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2. So here's some key vocabulary that your children will be introduced to through their time in the school. So repeated addition, array, lots of, times, multiply, groups of, product, multiplied by, and multiple of. So in Key Stage 1, some key multiplication strategies used in the school include repeated addition, equal groups, and arrays. So let's explore repeated addition in a little bit more detail. So repeated addition is where we add and add again and continue to add until we get the answer that we are looking for. Here we've got 3 multiplied by 5, so we know that we can replace the multiplication sign here for equal groups of. So we could say that there is 1 group, 2 group and 3 groups, and if we look at the first 3 groups of orange dots, we can see that in each group there is 5. So we know that 5 add 5 is 15, and we could record that as an addition sentence, which is displayed at the bottom of the repeated addition diagram. So 5 plus 5 plus 5. And we can also represent this type of calculation or using repeated addition for the children using familiar resources, physical, such as Numicon. It doesn't necessarily have to be a physical resource. The children could draw the dots and count them for the repeated addition. So here we have equal groups. We've got 3 multiplied by 5 again. This time there's space for the children to then put 5 in each of the groups. So in group 1, group 2 and group 3 there is 5. And we can see that the addition sentence that they used for repeated addition can still be generated. There's 5 plus 5 plus 5. And here we have arrays. And arrays are slightly more formal in the fact that they need to be organised into columns and rows. We've got in the first example to the left 3 equal groups with 5 in each. So this encourages the children to count in multiples. They can count the first row 5, the second row 10 and the third row 15. Now arrays can also show multiplication is commutative. If we were to turn the array round, we can see that we could also have 5 equal groups with 3 in each. So this way the children will be encouraged to count in threes. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Here the children will be able to understand that multiplication is commutative, meaning that numbers can be multiplied in any order. So now we're going to explore some Key Stage 2 methods that include grid method, short multiplication and long multiplication. So the grid method, it's important to remember that the children need to be confident in partitioning numbers. The children will need to partition 65. 65 is partitioned into tens and ones. We would have 60 plus 5 or 60 add 5. So once set out in the grid, children will complete 6 times 60, which is 360, and 6 multiplied by 5, which is 30. Now often the children think that this is their calculation complete, but they need to remember that they need to add the answers to those multiplications together. So 360 and 30 is 390. So here we've got short multiplication where we set out the calculation using columns. Once we've set out using columns, we need to then start by multiplying each number by the multiplier. So here we have 6 multiplied by 5, which is 30. The 0 in 30 is in the ones column, so that answer 0 will go in the ones column. In 30 there are 3 tens, so we need to regroup and record them over the 4. Next we have 6 times 4, which is 24, but we need to remember to add the 3 that we regrouped, and 24 add 3 is 27, and we'd record that below. So 45 multiplied by 6 is 270. And finally, our last multiplication strategy that we'd often see the children use in year 5 and 6 is long multiplication. Here, there are several skills that are needed for the children. They need to be able to set out the calculation in columns, they need to multiply as well as regroup, and they need to use a placeholder. So for example, the child will complete 7 times 3 and 7 multiplied by 6. But when they go to multiply 4 by 3 and 4 by 6, they need to remember that 4 is in the tens column, so they will need a placeholder. And you can see that placeholder in pink. They'll also need to be able to add, as they will need to add together those two products and then be able to add them together to find their final answer. And this strategy is helpful for the children when multiplying 2, 3 and 4 digit numbers by 2 digits.